Right. Welcome, listeners, to the Divine Design Parenting for Greatness podcast, where we believe the journey is in the win. And today we're in for a very special treat. We've got Xander Basson with us. He's the son of Basson. And Xander, thanks for being on the call. This is our first time call. And I'm really excited about this. I'm a little bit anxious about this as well, Xander. I'm not going to lie. But I know it's going to be an amazing time with you this evening and that the listeners will get a lot out of it. And before I give, more of a background, Xander, tell us who you are, where you're from, what you're currently busy with, and then I'll take it from there with more intro on your dad. Why don't you tell the listeners more about you?
Oh, awesome. Thanks for having me. And so I'm Xander Basson. I'm the son of Basson, the coach, as we all know, the legend of Mpumalanga, if I can put it that way. Yes, I've actually been busy with quite a few things in my career as well. I'm from Witbank. So I grew up in a small town there, went to high school at HTS Middelburg, where my dad was actually the tennis coach as well. And yes, after that, I went to take to Midland College as a junior college, and for 2 years, and I moved to Texas State University, graduated there in 2018. And then after that, I was trying to pursue my professional golf career. And yes, as we know, there's always a little bit of, how can I put it? There's always a little bit of humps in the way of that, but right now I'm also a teaching professional at Silver Lakes Golf Academy and also playing on the Sunshine Tour. So yes, it's just a little bit of background of myself, but it's exciting to be with you guys tonight. So
I appreciate it. You're very humble. You just recently got engaged as well. So a lot of exciting things happening in the future for you. And there's a lot of things to discuss and talk about, especially when it comes down to your career and what you're pursuing currently. I think for the listeners, more about your dad. You're more than welcome to chip in as well. Just to give a background, I've been a tennis coach for 25 years. And guess how long I know your dad? It's 25 years. Your dad has always been a mentor of mine. Someone I looked up to. I remember, I've got so many stories to tell when it comes to Basson. We shared a lot of laughs. We shared a lot of tears together. He was really a close friend of mine. And I remember playing a tournament. My first tournament was in Witbank at Witbank Tennis Club. I don't even think those courts are still up and running. And yes. I remember I played a guy, Petizwe, who was also a coach in Middelburg, Witbank area. And, I had one racket. My racket broke. Petizwe, my opponent at the time, he borrowed me a racket. And, after the match, your dad came up to me and said, what are you doing? And it's like, here's another racket. And, we just clicked, we gelled. We did so many things together, Charles and I. When we got together, there was always this thing of how are we going to help out parents? How we are going to help out kids, actually. And this whole podcast, this is episode 1. Hopefully there's going to be quite a few of them. It's no way that we just want to do it once off, but this whole podcast is inspired, and I want your dad's legacy to carry on because there's so many life lessons, so many tennis lessons, so many golf lessons, that needs to be getting out there. And I think, there's so many things to be said when it comes down to your dad, but what an amazing guy. I served with him on numerous, governing bodies. He was always part of the Mpumalanga, committees. He was always part of the coaching committees. We went on tours to Bloemfontein with the IPTs, the Interpros. So he was always someone I looked up to. And, we went took a group, you were in the US during that time, but we took a group of about 28 people to America. And, one thing about your dad that always stood out is just yes. There was never a doubt. Yet it's like, okay, Charles, we're going to try and launch one of the country's bigger junior developments called Tennis Wars. We tried to do that. He just said yes. I think we drive your mom crazy. I think we drive my wife crazy. But there was just never a doubt that he said yes for anything and for every kid. If it was an opportunity to help people grow, if it was an opportunity to get a good news out there, he was just so incredible. There was never no, never doubting, never negative. And we will touch more upon that as we go on. But yeah, I just want to tell you, you were very fortunate to call him your dad. And I was very fortunate to call him a friend and a mentor. And so the list goes on. The list goes on. We'll touch more upon it as we go on. Is there anything I missed out that you would want to add, before we do a deeper dive?
No, I think you covered a lot of the basics. But yes, just like you said, my dad was all about the journey, and he never said no to anything. And I actually said it at the funeral, and I just remembered as you said that I actually mentioned that in the funeral. There was just never a no in his in his vocabulary. So for me as a son, I was very fortunate to have him as a dad and as a coach in the end. So, but yeah.
Awesome. So yeah, let's try and unravel this or lay this out. You guys lived stayed in a plot in between Witbank and Middelburg. I spent some time there. There was a tennis court. Tell me about your early days. I know this is going to be such an exciting journey because we're going to go from tennis to golf to life, and there's so many things.
Yes.
But tell me about that tennis court in the backyard, and where did your journey for tennis start? Because we've got some interesting stuff to share with the listeners. I know you're a golfer, but tell us about your start in tennis.
Yes, no. So I actually go back a lot on my phone and watch the videos my dad, because he loved a video camera when I was younger and when my sister was younger. So I was watching videos the other day of us playing tennis. I could barely walk and there was a tennis racket in my hand. So it just started from a very young age where he put any ball or any racket in my hand, but never forced, as I can put it that way. But that tennis court was something I always told him as a little kid I would love to have a tennis court here because there's space. And he's like, I'm going to make it happen. And I was like, whatever. And I don't know how he did it. In the end, we had a tennis court on the plot in 2000. I think in 2003, I think I was 7 or 8 years old, and he built that tennis court. And from there, the battles we had on that tennis court is actually, I can't even explain it to you. I was still struggling to beat him in the end, but before school, I'll wake him up, and at 5 a.m., me and him will be on that tennis court starting to practice, and then we'll play a set. That was our routine before school, and I'll be a little bit late for school, and my mom didn't like it, but me and him, the time we shared on that tennis court is, I can't imagine. I think, it's been, I think from I was 8 years old until I went to high school. It was almost every morning before school we spent time on that tennis court. So it was a lot of time. So
incredible. How was it being coached by him? Did you guys do a lot of match play, or was it a little sets? Come on, he loved his golf so much. I can't think that he would just only do drills with you and feeding. He most probably wanted to kick your butt on the tennis court, didn't he?
Oh yes, yeah. I never thought him as my coach in the end, but we played a lot of tennis against each other. So, but kicking each other's butt was probably the main goal every day. But we'll set up for about 30 minutes each morning to have my practice drills and do make sure he was always very, very serious about having quick feet. So I had to start off the session with doing some drills with footwork. So I remember that a lot. And then after that, we'll just start getting into a set and start playing against each other. And that was how our day started off. But him being my coach, I never actually saw him as my coach. I always saw him as my dad, and I never felt like the pressure coming from him being my coach or my dad. And so yeah, that made it easy for me, I would say. So
Amazing, amazing. How about being a competitor on the golf course right now, and how much did tennis help you out? And obviously, just give us a little bit and the listeners a background of your journey playing multiple sports. Did you play any other sports growing up? Did your dad believe in that?
So yes, so the multiple sports definitely helped me. The tennis is a way more physical demanding sport than golf. So I think tennis was massive, had a massive influence on my golf, and especially now because it was physically demanding. The tennis, it was 6 to 8 hours on the court, and it was a whole different. When I came to golf, it's so much less than, and it's not a lot of a physical activity. But yes, golfers are becoming more active in the sport. But I just think that grit in the tennis just gave me that extra push in the end, just to and there's so many tennis matches I can bring up where I was down six love, 5 love, and I'll bring it back. And I think that never ending, not giving up. And I can see it in my golf these days. Like I can come from nowhere and make 5, 6 birdies. And I think the tennis was a massive attribute to that. So yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, knowing your dad, quitting, tanking matches, not bringing your best effort would not go down so easy. So I can just see him at the court. I mean, listen, when we had our discussions, he would call me and we would be able to talk for hours. It's like not to be disrespectful, but I used to ask permission from my wife. I said, "Listen, it's Charles." She says, "Take it," because she knew the rest of my morning was out of was out of league. We were just going to talk all morning, and that's who Charles was. He believed always that someone can make a comeback. For him, the kind of mentality was never. It's not over until it's over. And obviously, I think with tennis, the scoring system allows bigger opportunities to come back than maybe golf. But maybe
Yes.
don't you want to elaborate just, for our sporting listeners, how do you let go, for instance, after you've hit a bad golf shot right now? Because in tennis, so many times, you hit a bad shot, it carries over for 3 to 4 tennis games or 4 serving games or returning games. It doesn't matter. But, the word oopsie, the word let go, you got this. How do you handle that?
Yeah, and you also know me a little bit as a tennis player. When I was younger, I was not the
Fired up.
easiest kid on the court, and I had a lot of fire in me. But I think I matured a lot in that way, and I think sometimes it just takes a little bit of maturity of how to move on from. And golf is a lot harder because it takes so much longer till you get to the next shot. So I think tennis is actually nice in that way because it's quick and it's firing, but like you said, it can last for 2, 3 games, and I've had it when I was younger. I think it sometimes it lasts me a whole set. So until I can really get over a bad shot or a bad game. But I think it took me 25 years to start realizing that it doesn't help to mope about one bad shot or one bad hole in my golf. So, but in the end, my way of thinking changed a lot as I grew up, and I can see it's paying off now. I wish I knew this 10 years ago. I think I would have been in a different place in my life probably. But and it's crazy, and I tell my kids is don't let it take you that long to realize that it shouldn't take you that long to get over a bad shot or a bad game or a bad serve or whatever. So I just think, and my dad's always, he couldn't understand how I couldn't get over it because I was I was horrible when I was younger, mentally, of getting over things. So, and I actually, it's crazy. The last 2 years, I've been so relaxed on a golf course, and I just move on and go hit the next shot. It's not, the sun's going to come up tomorrow if I have a bad day. So it's in the end. So just don't make it. Don't let the sport make you a mean person, because it can quickly happen. So
For those of you who don't know Charles, who haven't met him and just popped by in this call, Mr. Easy, he's a big, tall guy, and he could also be in that Ernie Els category of Big Easy. He loved his golf, and he would fold his arms, and just go freak show. He would have that mentality. Just look at this, and he would never lose his marbles or his mind and go crazy. I mean, we've had heated battles actually against each other. He was at RTS Middelburg, and we were at Ermelo and Nelspruit, and his team's always, he got somehow just always the upper hand of us. And I think it's because the way he handled his teams, he was always just the cool, calm customer. Who's got the edge in the room? The person who's got the cool in the room. And, that was Charles. He would, I could imagine him walking with you on a golf course, maybe even carrying your bag, and not making a fuss about a bad shot, where, in these days, I mean, you're in the coaching now as well. There's no more time for parents for bad shots, and so it's actually sad. But Xander, tell me quickly. I think you're very humble. So until what age did you play tennis? And what was your highest achievements, ranking wise? I'm under correction. You could correct me, but there's one secret I know, and not a lot of listeners know. But you've got one amazing inside-out forehand. Like would be always a talking point for me and your dad. Your inside-out forehand, he loved that. And then I think I'm under correction. You got a win over Lloyd Harris.
Yes, so I actually never realized how good that forehand was until my dad started talking about it, and then in matches I'll realize after I hit the shot, I was like, okay, this is my this is my weapon. So, but yes, the Lloyd Harris story, he always brought it up. So I think we were 12 years old, and in the end, I think when I got into my golf, and of course I'm still a huge tennis fan. I still watch tennis every major. I'm behind that TV watching it. But then I see Lloyd Harris playing, and I will tell everyone, hey, like I beat that guy. So no, it's a good story. We only played once, so I can keep that over him, and hopefully one day I can meet him and tell him that I actually beat him. But yeah, that was one thing. My dad, he always wanted to let me know that if something was special, he'll make sure I know that, hey, you've got something special. So it was an exciting thing that my dad always did, and he made me know, like, you are gifted in what you're doing. So
that's amazing. So here we go. We go eventually from tennis to golf. How did that happen? You're talking about the videos you watch on your phone. I remember sitting in your living room up those weird circle staircase at your house, at your parents' house, and we were watching tapes of you carrying, I think, a 3-wood or 5-wood, even hitting the ball right-handed. You're a lefty. You hit the ball right-handed. So how did that go from, was golf always part of your life? Did your dad always pull you and drag you to the golf course even while you were playing tennis? And tell us and the listeners a little bit more about that.
Yeah, so as we grew up, it was, like I said, it was always multiple sports. My dad was a tennis coach, but there was never that emphasis on tennis all day, every day. We actually, every Friday morning, I think I was 3 years old. He'll drag me to the golf course at Witbank, and he'll take me out for 9 holes. It was probably every Friday morning. Me and him will go out to play 9 holes, and that's how I started getting into golf. And yes, like you said, he gave me a right-handed club, and I just started bashing it with the back of the club. And he eventually got me a left-handed five. I think it was a 5 or 3 wood, and I just started playing with one club, and I had or two clubs. I had that club and a putter, and yes, and I grew a love for the game as well while playing a lot of tennis. And like you said, tennis was massive for me when I was at a younger age. But as I became older, I started getting this itch about the golf, and I started playing more golf and more golf. And then I realized, hey, okay, I'm pretty good at golf as well. So, and yes, and like on the side, I also played cricket for the province, and I had provincial colors in golf, tennis, and cricket. So there was never this big emphasis on you only a tennis player. And because my dad was a tennis coach, and he was next to every sports field. And there was like he was on the golf course, he was on the tennis court, he was that next to the cricket field. So support wise, he just wanted the best for me in anything I was doing. So yes, I was very fortunate with that with my dad. So, but transitioning was actually so easy, and that's where I'm fortunate because he never said no. Why are you playing golf, and why are you taking golf more serious than tennis all of a sudden? And then I think he realized I loved golf more, and yes, so I kept on playing tennis. I actually kept on playing tennis till 3 years ago until I had a hand surgery because of tennis. I was playing a league game against Tuck. So in the end, I wish I could still play just for the fitness. It's lovely, and I love the league. It was in Pretoria. It's a very strong league. So, but yes, the transitioning wasn't hard for me. It was telling my dad, "Hey, I love golf," and he's like, "Well, then we're gonna do golf, and then that's your thing." So.
Yeah, and that
So I was very fortunate with him being supportive in that way of not putting pressure on just tennis. So
Yeah, and that's the beauty of, I think, this whole call tonight, and what we want to share with the parents is there's a big difference between being a driven parent and being a crazy parent. And I'm sure even in your own coaching style, you might have seen that already. He was driven. I remember even talking about setting up a drive range at your home, and then, I mean, the next moment he says it's too small. It's like this kid hits the ball a million miles, what now, So he really falls into that category of a driven parent. And
yeah,
I think he always wanted you to, and we will touch on that a little bit later. But he wanted every kid, not just you. He wanted everyone to find their reason for waking up. If it is ballet, it's ballet. But it was always, try
exactly.
your best, do your best. Your best is good enough. Where I'm a tennis coach as well. I'm a parent as well, and some people are shocked when they hear, but your kids aren't playing tennis anymore, or a certain kid's not playing. And listen, just because I'm a tennis coach doesn't mean that's their identity. And it's got
Exactly.
to shape you. So, two most important days in one's life, Mark Twain: the day you are born, the day you find out why. Um, Maybe you can tell us a little bit about your junior golf career in South Africa, and then how did that help you out going to college? Am I right? Texas State. You played for Texas State. I know you played 2 years junior college as well, right? Maybe you can just touch
Yeah.
upon that, the junior golfing scene. How did that work out for you? And then that transition to go play college sport.
Yeah. So, like I said, I was very fortunate playing tennis, but in the end, the golf took over, and I was playing. And my dad would make sure I get to every single golf tournament possible. And there was, like you said, there was never a no in his vocabulary. Like he wouldn't put pressure on me to go play. He would ask me, "Do you want to go play?" And then he'll make it happen. So, and me as a kid, I loved competing. So probably every Sunday there was it was called the Mpumalanga Junior Foundation, and every Sunday there was 36 holes somewhere in Mpumalanga, and my dad will me and him will get in the car on a Sunday morning for 3 a.m., drive to the golf course, wherever it is, Nelspruit, Ermelo, go play 36 holes. Well, he's dead tired. He's been teaching the whole week. And then after that Sunday, he needs to drive me back home. And then it's homework. And I think that junior golf just gave me that edge. And in the end, I was 17 years old, and I won the South African Boys Championships. And yeah, something also me and my dad never thought will happen. And I think that just gave me that little edge to get a good scholarship in the end, overseas, because we were actually struggling to get schools where it's affordable for us and for me to go and study and play golf. And that's why we ended up going to a junior college. I had a pretty good scholarship at Mississippi State, but it would have still cost us millions just to get me there and play. So in the end, last minute, I got a call from a coach in Midland, Texas, a small little town there in West Texas in the oil field, and he's like, "Hey, we can pay for your flights and we can give you a full scholarship." And I was like, and I told my dad, "Yes, let's do it, and I can work myself up from there and just and trust the process," like he always said. So I ended up playing 2 years at Midland Junior College. I was ranked second in the nation after my first year in junior colleges. So I had a stroke average of 69. And then yes, I got a great scholarship from Texas State University in the end, and I've played another 2 years on Division One golf, where things actually started getting very rough for me. So I think mentally the golf became too big for me, and that's when it became tough for me. So like you said earlier, parents put a lot of, or they make sure they not make sure, but they're starting to tie their identities to a certain sport, and I think that's where things start going wrong, and that's what started happening to me in Division One golf. It was golf, golf, golf. There was nothing other than that in my life, and I think the pressure just became too much, and I started struggling in my last 2 years in college. So it actually made me think, hey, am I good enough? Am I, because I've always wanted to become a professional golfer, and I'm not even getting close to competing or making top 20 or top 30s in any event. And my coach doesn't even want to take me to tournaments. So, and I think that's when golf just became too much for me. Like there was, my why was golf, and your why shouldn't be golf. There's a lot more than golf in this life. So,
Wow.
yeah.
Wow, that's a lot of golden nuggets right there. Thanks for sharing that. Yeah, because I mean, what people don't always understand is Division One sport, or let's just call it college sports for in general. People think it's
Yeah.
easy. It's not as easy as it thinks, especially if you're a boy. Boys have it so much more tougher. Now you're in a foreign country. You're away from home. You've got to become quickly an independent thinker, a problem solver, the
Yeah.
discipline, the pressure. So how did you then cope? How was your coping mechanism? Who was your support structure there? Did you find friends? Did you find, maybe even a church? Who or what did you find to help you through that transition period of the last 2 years then?
Yeah, so it's actually a interesting story, but when I moved to Texas State, I was actually playing the best golf of my life going over there. And as soon as I put my foot down there, everything started going downhill for me. So, and I think for me it was the hard part was, and that's when I actually started. The worse I started playing, the more I was longing home, or I wanted to go back home. Like this is horrible, and I made some good friends at Midland, and I had to move to Texas State all of a sudden, and now new friends or no friends, honestly, new coaches, big school, 50,000 students. So you like this, and you in your own apartment. And there I am. I wasn't in the team's apartment, so that made it hard for me. I didn't have a car, so trying to get to school, trying to get to the golf course was a mission. So in the end, I think I learned a lot, and I'm glad I sticked out and I finished my degree there. But I think the transition is so hard because I've never even been overseas before I went over, so it took a lot on me mentally, and it's lonely. It's one of the loneliest things I've ever done in my life, but it's probably the 4 years of my life I would do over and over and over because I've learned so much right now, and I learned how to work hard. And the pressure is actually immense when you get to a Division One school. It's waking up at 4 5 a.m., doing drug tests, get to the gym. Then you at the gym. After gym, you go to 4 or 5 hours of golf practice. Depends on how long. After that, you go to school, or vice versa, or you go to 4 or 5 hours of class. So, and then after that, you go home and you start working and doing your schoolwork. And then next day, same thing. And then you start traveling as well. And when the traveling hits, your schoolwork needs to be up to date. So it was like, how am I going to get a degree while I'm playing so much golf, and trying to balance all that was massive. And in the end, I wish, yeah, like I can't thank my dad enough for introducing the Heavenly Father to me. So if it wasn't for that, I don't think I would have still been there. I just prayed and really asked for that calmness, and try and just make sure, hey, take a step back and just try and see where you are in life, because it's actually amazing opportunity where you are. And but yes, the last years I never even played well. I don't think I did anything special at Texas State University. But the people I met, the coaches I met, the friends I made, I still have them. They still come visit. I still go visit them. I just visited them in December. So it's something I'll never take back. I just think I'll appreciate it more while I'm there. So yes.
Yeah, appreciation for the situation where you are, because that leads me to your dad believing in a balance in the system. What does the balance in the system mean for you? If you had to look at it, and give someone advice on it.
Yeah, if I think about balance, I think about what is the important things in life first. So right now where I am, it's family and faith, and the gratitude I have for the things I have, and an amazing fiance right now. And but the balance, I think, for juniors in golf or in tennis or in any sport really is trying to make sure you don't make that sport everything in your life. Make sure there's the small things about like family, or not the small things, that's a massive
Yeah.
thing, but make sure those things are in line before you get so caught up in one sport. Because if you're throwing all your eggs in one basket, the pressure becomes immense, and that's when things become tough. And I think that's one thing that's why I'm starting to compete at a higher level now with my golf, because I'm enjoying it. It's not my everything. And I can see it around here when I'm touring. I'm in Swaziland right now, and I can see some guys that they look nervous, and I think sometimes it's because it's all they have. It's just golf, 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 golf. And that's why I don't travel with people, because when they get home, it's talking about golf. I can't, and it gets too much for me. And that's why I think the balance in the process is making sure you know what's important to you other than the sport in the end. So
That's well said. When it comes down to what's your definition of success, right? Is it really being at peace? Someone like great John R. Wooden, success is only attained through self-satisfaction in knowing you did the best to become the best that you're capable of. And that is success. No trophy, no pole position, no prize money should be part of any junior sports, or any kid actually, have that be their happiness. So, no, that's well said. With winning being such a focus on youth sports, you mentioned your dad wasn't all about winning, but were there moments where he said, Xander, you blew it? You had the lead, or luister, or you were ahead in a tennis match, but you blew it. Were there moments that that he was a little bit tough on you when maybe you lost, or you blew a lead?
yes, I can definitely think of a few moments like that. Like we said yesterday, my dad was this piece of calmness for everyone around him. And but there were times that that I could really spark him and see him getting mad. I'm like, okay, now I really messed up. So but in the end, the winning is becoming such a thing in junior sports that it's becoming a kind of a sickness to me. I'm seeing it in I'm teaching as well. So when coaching, it becomes such a huge thing that they forget what's really important. So it's honestly sad to see it sometimes, and I think sometimes my dad's calmness is coming through me now when I'm coaching, and the parents are like, "Why aren't you more like?"
Fired up.
I'm like, "Yeah, why am I not more fired up?" I'm like, "No, this is not the most important thing for an 8-year-old is to win a little SA Kids trophy. Is he happy when he's doing this or not?" So, and I'm seeing it every day of my life right now, and all my dad's voices go through my head almost every single day, and I'm thinking, what would he say to this parent right now? Because I'm feeling, and I think I was born to be a coach as well after I spent so much time with my dad, because the way he taught me and taught all his students, thousands and thousands of kids he coached, is just to be present in what you're doing and make sure you enjoy what you're doing, because most kids are not enjoying what they're doing anymore. So, and it's sad to see. So,
Yes, because I think you touched upon it, and myself being in the coaching industry, I can't tell you. I think why aren't we producing more world champions in certain individual sports is because of winning. Winning's not confusing for the most part in juniors. It's totally confusing. We joke around. I can make some jokes. When Crummy plays Crummier at the under 10 level, who wins? One Crummy, a crummy person. When 64 under 10s enter a tournament, who wins the tournament? One 10-year-old, you know? And
yeah,
still, and I'm not
exactly.
sure how it goes in golf, but I can tell you that if an under 10 kid wins a tournament, every parent wants to know how many private lessons is this kid taking, so who's he at, how many academies is he visiting? And I mean, you're talking to the wrong parent. You should go talk to Roger Federer's mom, Lynette. Go try and find out the way that they did it, not the under 10, because I think it's become really, you've touched upon it. It's a sickness, it's an illness, it's
Yeah,
not a
and it's
great thing.
this comparison the whole time. It's comparing each other, and everyone's journey or process is different in the end. So it's sad how everyone is comparing a 10-year-old to another 10-year-old, and I'm like, what are you? Where are we going with this? So in the end, it's like, why is this kid actually playing golf? What is the reason behind it? Are you living through him, or is he doing it because he wants to be here? So, but yes, my dad was, and you know that he was massive trying to get parents to understand why there's certain reasons kids should play sport, and yeah,
He always said, you can't win Wimbledon at 12, but you can lose it. And that was a big passion for him. And that's why I don't want to sound like it's all about me, but that's why I've just said, listen, his legacy's got to carry on. We've got to get more
yeah,
stories out there. He also believed, don't judge the unfinished product. Why would you judge a 12-year-old? We've had hours and hours of conversations of people almost harassing him for private lessons. He was good. I mean, Coach Scholl was an unbelievable great coach. So I could imagine people want to take private lessons with him. But he believed in a group setup. He believed in the journey, the kid taking it, doing it more for fun first, and then figuring it out if he really wants to do it. And then when they really decide, he would jump on it. But yeah, I remember clearly our conversations to not judge the unfinished product. That was big for him. Your dad, walked a very close road with our Creator. How did his faith influence you, Xander?
yeah. So I actually get goosebumps when you ask me that question. So I've actually been going through a very, well, let's put it, in the last year, my faith has grew immensely, and especially after my dad passed, because it was a tough time for me, and I think of figuring out where I am and what am I believing in and what's going on, and so, but yes, my dad's always been so has been so he was probably one of the most religious guys I knew, to be dead honest. And he always just told me he'll write me letters, he'll send me emails, and in every email he'll tell me how he's praying for me and that I should make sure I know why I'm doing certain things. And in the last year, my faith has grown so much, and it is because of him. I can't thank my dad enough introducing the Heavenly Father to me, because I think it just it's playing such a massive role in my life right now, and I can feel I know my why all of a sudden. I didn't know my why for 29 years, so it's only because of him that I know that now. So, and it yes, I'm very fortunate to have that situation, or him as my dad, giving me that opportunity to know God now. So
I think that's the biggest for all the parents out there. I think that's the one thing, the Bible says as well, it's a role and a responsibility for us as parents to guide our kids to find the Lord, and I think your dad was that guy.
yes,
It's funny that you say that he's praying for you. I mean, almost all our conversations, buddy, I'm praying for you. It's like, okay, seriously, Charles, you always, it was always making sure that he didn't have always the answers. So it's not like he was always the guy going like, yeah, ek het al die antwoorde. I know everything. But he always
yes.
used to say like, I'm praying for you. No. And I mean, isn't that amazing, to know, and just to hear your story, Xander, I've got to just say it's such a privilege and enjoyable experience so far with you, and just to see your growth as well is actually very inspiring, and hopefully, you can just take this more forward. But your dad's big thing was finding your reason for waking up tomorrow morning. What does that phrase mean to you now, looking back? I mean, in Afrikaans, jy moet jou rede kry vir opstaan môreoggend. I've talked to numerous people about the podcast, and especially your dad, and the conversation I want to have with you about him, and I mean, everyone told me, "Wat is jou rede? What's your why? Why are you waking up?" So maybe you could share a little bit more about that. I mean, you've said so many good things already, but definitely that's a term and a phrase I'll always keep with me.
No, for sure. I probably, if well, everyone's heard it, but I think I've heard it the most, to be honest. So I probably heard it every day of my life. And the funny thing is, I didn't know for 29 years, like I said, what was my reason to wake up in the mornings. I just went through the motions and trying to become this superstar golfer, and in the end, I'm like, well, that can't be all. So, and actually, Scott, I'm going a little off topic. Scotty Scheffler said something the other day. He won, and then he was like, yeah, but he just won the Open, and it feels nice for 2 minutes, and what then? So what then? So, and that interview just hit me so, and it was so, and I thought about my dad there, because he always asked me what was my why, and for me, it means now, because I know what my why is now. For me, it's all about having faith and being a great person every day, and being a better person than I was yesterday to everyone around me, and just for every kid I teach and every client I work with. So, and that is becoming my why, and having faith in God in everything and what I'm doing with, and making sure I'm going to be a good husband one day, or a good dad, just like my dad was. So my why is not hitting or building up a huge house with trophies and making a lot of money. So, and I think that is giving me that calmness as well, like my dad always had. So,
Oh, amazing, special. If you're a nobody without a medal, you're still going to be a nobody with a medal. If parents could just understand that phrase, I promise you, being world number one does not guarantee you happiness, and happiness can't be bought. And I really, really hope that this podcast will help you, the listener, who's maybe having a young kid who's aspiring to, follow in Xander's footsteps and become a pro golfer, or pro tennis player, whatever sport it is that you've got to improve every day a little bit. Your competition's in the mirror. Don't compare yourself to
Yeah.
anyone, but really just daily little improvements. The little things do add up, but yeah. So you broke through on the Sunshine Tour. Tell me, at what age did you get your card for playing the main tour, if I can say it, the Sunshine Tour, right?
Yes. Yeah, so I was playing on the Big Easy Tour the last 2 years, and I actually broke through in April this year. So 29 years of age, I finally got my Sunshine Tour card, and yeah, I'd never. My dad always said it's a journey, and it's you'll get it. Don't worry. And I was like, this journey is getting pretty long now, but yeah, here I am, and he was the one who told me, don't worry, you're gonna become a professional golfer. You're gonna play on main tours in the world and on the Sunshine Tour. Just keep doing what you're doing. You're good enough. It's gonna happen. And yes, in April I broke through, and I finally got my card, and now I've played. This is my fourth event this week, so it's exciting.
Congratulations, Xander. And if anyone can get something out of this call, it's dare to be a late bloomer. Don't chase to become a teenage sensation. That was one thing your dad always also was very, strongly or felt strongly about is, I remember, sorry. I mean, we had calls. I can tell you these things. It's like amazing. Yes, he didn't make it, but no. Now we're resetting. He's got to try next year again, He just never, ever gave up, and I'm sure that's on your side as well. But it was just always so great to hear how he spoke about the belief system. And I think that's also something people just need to understand. You need to have an inner belief system. No one else can believe in you if you don't believe in yourself as well. And, but with someone like Charles behind you, if he was behind you, you felt like you had an army of people believing in you at the back. But, yeah, did you ever feel, or let's say playing on the tour now, do you ever feel like, wow, guys who are playing longer on the Sunshine Tour are ahead of you, or do you feels it's pretty level? The playing field's pretty level.
Yeah, so it's such a. As soon as you get here, you feel so. Oh, that's my experience, and I think it can be a different experience as well. Because I've always wondered what it will be like when I get on tour. Because are they really better, or am I good enough? And the last three events just really made me realize, hey, like I can win. I can win on this tour. I feel like I belong, and I think that made a huge difference in my last tournament in Zambia. I came sixth there, and I just missed it by 3 shots, and 3 shots in 72 holes is nothing. So, and that just made me believe, hey, like I can come tee it up here, and I can have a chance to win. And I think, like you said, just having that self belief is massive in the end. So, but yeah, no, I feel like I belong. So,
That's awesome to hear, because you do. How about, let's just take 2 steps back. So you're trying to get your card, and you're just not breaking through. Was there ever a moment that you felt you're going to stop it? And what helped you to push through?
yeah, so when I came back from university, I actually tried for another year. Or I went to go work in the oil field in West Texas for a year, and just practicing on weekends and just trying to stay sharp while I'm working, because I know my time's not going to last a long time in America. So after that year, I came back. I was like, okay, now I'm going to just play golf, and I'm just going to try and get on tour. That's my main goal. And that year, like I said, was also super tough. Didn't get my card. I think I missed it by 2 shots in 2019, and then COVID hit. Didn't play a lot of golf, and then I was like, yes, where am I going with this? I'm getting older, and but in the end, like my dad always said, just trust the process. And I kind of almost said, I need to go get a job because this is getting out of hand now. And I went to go get a job in construction, and I was actually putting in aluminium doors and glasses in a huge building in Santon for 2 or 3 months. And that was just it was crazy. And every morning I got into that bucky. I was sitting in the back of a bucky and going to put in windshields, aluminium glass and door frames into a huge building in Santa. I'm like, where did my life just,
What happened? Yeah.
what's happening to me? And one morning I woke up, I was like, this is not your passion. This is not what you worked your butt off for every single day on the golf course and tennis court and getting a degree. So I just walked up to the guy. I was like, I'm sorry, but I'm gonna work for 2 more weeks and then I'm gone. So I started calling people, and I got a hold of my boss now, Andrew McKenna, and I was like, yes, do you have a coaching job? He's like, hey, yes, a coaching job went open just now, like 2 days ago. Interview, got the job, and then I started teaching again, and I was like, this is what I need to do, but I still want to play because I'm not my journey is not over yet. And I started playing again while I'm teaching. So yes, and then it was so tough. And then I missed my card. I went to Q school, didn't get it again. So I got a little mini tour card, the Big Easy tour. I top 12 get cards after the year's rankings. I came 13th. I missed it by one spot again. I was like, okay, surely should I still play this game? And I'm like, okay, but I'm sure so close. Let me try one more year. And then I just had a massive year. Actually, just after my dad passed, I made eight top tens in 12 events, two second places, and I played amazing golf. Gave myself a chance every week to almost win. And yeah, then I just pushed up those rankings, and I finished fourth on those rankings, and then I got my Sunshine Tour card in April. So, and here I am for the last 10 years just battling it through construction. I put in windshields. I was in the oil field, but I never gave up on my little dream of competing again. So yeah, it takes time.
All good things do take time as well. I mean, David Ferrer came to my mind while you were talking about construction. David Ferrer, actually one stage top 4 in the world. Played against the greats of Nadal, and he was in an era where I think he could have done a little bit better Grand Slams. But at one stage in his illustrious career, or just right before his illustrious career took off, he told his dad, listen, I don't think this tennis thing's for me. It's too much hard work. And his dad was in construction. So his dad said, no. You can quit, but just give me 2 weeks. And all you've got to do is take a wheelbarrow from point A to point B. After day 1 or 2, he told his dad, I'm going back to the tennis court. I'll never complain again. It's not hard work. And those are the stories also parents need to hear. When we talk about process, it's like trusting a coach. Let the coach, let the parent be the parent. And, I think that's part of the process. That just came to my mind as you were talking. And also, I just felt that we need to get that across as well. So, Xander, now we're moving on. You're now a coach. Wow. It's a big responsibility, big privilege to influence young lives. And I can't, if there's parents out there, it's not a marketing opportunity to market Xander, but if you're in the Pretoria area, I would get to Xander. Now, as a coach, what are the biggest mistakes you see parents making in youth sports? Just in youth sports in general, the way they talk, the way they walk. I can tell you one little secret to give it away. Junior tennis parents carrying the bags of their kids. I know that drove your dad nuts when they were carrying their bags. So, yeah, what are the mistakes the parents are making these days?
Well, it's funny that you said that because I get that every day with parents carrying their kids' golf bags. And then I don't know. It's actually, I've never heard my dad say that, but I say that a lot to my kids. And I'm like, you can't even carry your own golf bag to the golf lesson. So it's like, but yes, no, parents, whew, it's a, it's a tricky conversation.
You don't have to send this out to your current customers so that they don't get a fright. But no.
No, I'd love for my parents to hear what I'm saying, but it's just making sure that kid enjoys what he's doing, because I have just too many kids that comes to lessons and they tell me, yes, but mom told me to come here. I'm like, okay, but then let's take your bag and go to mom and tell her we're not doing this anymore, because unfortunately, I'm not there to teach someone if he's not there for the enjoyment or for himself in the end. So, because I just have, like you said, my dad he didn't like the private sessions, and I have kids that parents ask me to come 4 or 5. Can I please have 4 or 5 private sessions a week? I'm like, okay, so what am I going to do with that kid for 4 or 5 sessions that week? I don't even know what to do with him anymore. First of all, if you, I just think the the pressure just becomes so much because I have kids that play 5. I know we talked about balance and playing different sports, but then I have kids doing too many sports. I'm talking about playing 5 to 6 sports. He barely got home from this one, and then he runs off to the next one, and but he needs to be good at every single one of them, otherwise he hears it from the parents. So it's very sad how, because I speak to my kids, I ask them every day, like, why are you here? Why? And I've never had a kid give me the right answer yet. So it's pretty sad, honestly, and then I'll ask the parent, like, are you sure he wants to play golf? Yes, 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 yes. And I'm like, okay, but that's not what he said in our session. So we need to get in that. And that it makes me sad to think, because what I had in my dad always asked me, do you want to go play golf? And if I said no, he wasn't like, oh, okay, what's wrong now? He's like, okay, let's do what you want. It's And I never had that pressure from my dad, and I think that's what made him such an amazing coach and dad. And I wish that for every kid out there to first find the enjoyment in the sport, and then if you want to take it up professionally or if you want to excel in the sport, it should come from the kid. It should not come from the parents. But yeah, that's probably easier said than done in
Mm.
the end, I think.
Yeah,
So
for sure. How about a FOMO kind of mentality, fear of missing out or fear of falling behind little Johnny? You know, I've mentioned it a little bit earlier. We're comparing ourselves to everyone and anyone next to us, around us. Do you think that's a big mistake going on in parenting currently?
yeah, I think, yeah, because most parents that they'll see their kids competing, but they see this one kid is really excelling and he's playing in these big events, and then they will start asking me, like, just like you said, why is he not at that level yet, and how are we going to get him to that level? And in the end, just like my dad said, it everyone's journey is different. Like, look at my journey, and then you look at Gary Gigo. Let's just take an example, and he's 22 years old. He's won on the PGA Tour 3 times, and it just happened to him quickly. Or Aldrich Potgieter, he's super young and just got off to a hot start. And sometimes everyone's journey is different, and maybe it'll take me 40 years to win an event, but in the end, I think this it comes to comparing the kids to each other. A 10-year-old comparing another 10-year-old to another 10-year-old, and I think that's the main thing where things starts going wrong. And so
Rankings do have a place. Don't get me wrong, but I do
exactly,
if you actually take, I think it was Belgium, who at one stage said, okay, no rankings until 13, and boys and girls play against each other in tennis. And funny enough, I've got to do a little bit more research, but I know that Kim Kleister and Justine Henin came from that structure or that kind of setup. And you know, but now, one, boys don't want to lose to girls, especially not younger girls. And but it would just be best if we can just understand that skill and game will give you the desired ranking. Ranking won't necessarily give you a game. And in tennis, and I'm sure in golf as well, the only ranking actually counting is ATP, WTA points. It's like,
exactly.
with all due respect, it's, yes, I think tournaments should be a reward system. I think definitely all
Yeah.
work and no play makes kids dull as well. But when it comes down to skill, Xander, how important and how much hours does it require to just come to a decent level where you can actually excel in golf? I mean, what can you share about that? Just skill. If you've got to sum up the word skill.
Yeah. Yeah, if I think about skill, I actually think of us when we were little. We were playing minis in tennis. We'll play endless hours of playing these minis and tennis and golf. It's like chipping around the house or chipping into buckets or doing little things like that. And I think that's where our generation actually grew a lot quicker in certain sports like golf and tennis, when because we'll find ourselves playing for hours and just developing the skill with no one telling you what technique to use or yeah. So I think that was a huge part of how we grew up and creating that skill. And that's how I teach my little kids as well. I tell them, hey, like, go have fun there. Go chip, hit different shots out of the bunker, around the trees, around this, hit shapes, hit this. And I think when they start having that bit of fun, and then I've actually had parents, and then they tell them, hey, no, hit it like this, hit it straight, hit it straight. There's no skill to do that. Like, try and hit the funny shots, try and hit the spinning slice or whatever in on the court. So, and I think, yeah, skill is massive. And my dad always used the word develop the kid. So, and I think skill is how you develop a kid in the end. So, and that's not coming from standing in hours and doing the same thing over and over. And that's playing and having fun with your friends and on the court or even off the court. So, but yeah, skill is massive, I think.
Two things came to mind. Fun in fundamentals. You've got to have fundamentals to have fun, absolutely. Then you've got to decide, is it a hard skill or is it a soft skill? Once you honor hard skills, your grips, your swing, your body positions, for instance, then you've got to go develop some soft skills. Then you've got to go hit out there and be like a skateboarder, and just, fall down, so get back up. So many times, if we think of how we were born as kids, when we started walking and we fell down the 10,000th time,
Yeah.
we didn't go, well, I guess walking's not for me. You just
Yeah.
get back up and start walking again. But it's almost like we kill that part because it's so competitive, so structured, and I think pickup sports. I don't want to use actually the word pickup sports, but I think backyard sports. That's a better word. Parky cricket. Just get a bunch of friends together. Let's go play some parky cricket. Let's
Exactly.
go. Let's chip to a tree.
Playing cricket.
Yeah, let's
Yes.
chip to a tree. Let's
Exactly.
putt to. I mean, we're not the family with the most natural golfers, but we do have our putt competitions at home. We go, and
Exactly. Yeah.
I've lost my ranking. I think I'm now number third in the household. And we're only four, so soon to be number four out of four. But I think it's just too structured in so many ways when it comes down to development. And I think
Yes.
there should be a time where a kid could just break free and maybe just discover more. That would also well. Unfortunately, also the flip side is that nowadays in our sport, it's play and stay, instant gratification. We want success and we want it now. And, if you don't master the skill right now, Xander, they go like, well, I guess you're not good enough to play the sport. Well, you could be
Yeah.
taught some skills and, but it does take time. So they've got to be patient. Xander, we're coming to the close of this podcast. I can't believe it. It's gone by too fast. If you had 60 seconds to speak to every parent, Xander, you're not even a parent, but I'm asking you such a tough question. Give advice, guidance on young sporting parents. What would your advice be for those parents? Especially maybe even with your dad's legacy in mind.
So I would like for every parent to make sure their kid knows that they can detach their identity from results in sports. I think that's super important, and in the end, that will be their greatest advantage in any sport. So, kids are being raised to tie their identity to performance. So, and they're chasing that validation. So, in the end, I'd like for parents to know, or the kids should know that any sport is not their identity in the end. So yes, and yeah, I'd like for them to almost make sure their kids grow up in a way like I did. I was very fortunate to have a dad that didn't put any pressure on me in the end and just let me be and let me create a skill by myself. So yes, nothing too serious, but
I hope the parents took that advice. I'm sure they will. The thing is already, when the power of storytelling when it comes down to someone like a Jim Lower, who we use a lot in mental toughness for tennis is, and he's just a great person to go listen to for everyone out there. Jim Lower on mental toughness, but the power of storytelling. Um, as soon as you open your mouth, people have already decided if you're right or wrong, or if you fit in their narrative. Do you agree with what they agree? They're trying to find ways to
yes.
to do that. So, yeah, I really just encourage any young parent to just be open for learning. Don't have that attitude of you know it all. That's well said, Xander. I stole this one from Steve Smith. High performance, low performance coach. In tennis coaching, you go to a tournament and it's so easy to grab the kid that's already been developed under in tennis. The hard work's been done.
Oh yeah.
And, coaches walk around with a business card and go like, well, I'm Frikkie van Sale. I hope there's not a Frikkie van Sale somewhere. But if there is, I do apologize. But I'm Frikkie van Sale. I'm a high performance coach. And then, I go, hi, I'm Pieter Skoekemoer. I'm a low performance coach because high performance, low performance, what performance is there really? Is it just the
Exactly.
performance to fill your academy? It's really interesting once you go down this development route. And yeah, build me a perfect four ball for Xander. Who would be in your perfect four ball? Oh,
My dad, definitely
yeah,
my
that was a
dad.
cheat, Xander. That was easy. Yeah,
It'll be me, my dad, Ernie,
yeah,
and Kali Reineke.
and Kali Reineke. I remember Kali. Um, oh,
Yes.
amazing. Um, Xander, on a more serious note, if your dad was here, you know, what would you want to say to him? Now that you're looking to get married, you're coaching, you're doing what he always dreamt of you doing and envisioned you doing. And I do guarantee this for parents listening or anyone listening that even if you did not play the Sunshine Tour, even if you weren't, um, the pro golfer, he
Yes.
would still be extremely proud of just the person who you are. So, yeah, what would you tell your dad?
Yeah, so I would first and foremost, thank him for every opportunity he gave me in life and all the time and effort he has put into me. And then also I would thank him for introducing the Heavenly Father to me and making sure I know what's right and what's wrong in this world. And that I can also have faith in everything I do. Um, yeah, and another thing is he always made me feel comfortable with what I'm doing, and so in saying that, I would thank him for never putting that pressure onto me in anything I did in my life. It was always my choice of how I wanted to do things, and so yeah, I never had that pressure from his side. And then yes, and every memory we made out we had, and it made me the man I am today. So I'll thank him for that. And yes, he was such a example to me as a coach, a dad, a husband. So I'm excited to also go into a marriage now. So with that, I learned a lot from my dad and from my parents. So I'm very fortunate of that. So I'll just thank him for that. And then, yes, all the opportunities he gave me in life. Otherwise, I wouldn't be sitting where I am today. So,
Yeah, I know. I mean, we had so many hours, just talking about Xander and your family. And, I know this call was, mainly focused on your dad, but I know you've got an unbelievable mom, Azal. You got a
yes,
sister as well, and you guys are a close knit family. And yeah, it's just amazing to just experience your journey and the way you've developed. And I know he would be so simply proud of you. So yeah, all the best for this weekend. All the best for the
thank you.
future. Thanks for making a difference, Under. And one thing I want to share with the parents that Charles always told me is that, and this is especially for a dad, if you're the listener, you're on this call, he always said, they where a dad is, they where the father figure is, there's a better chance of the kid making it. Nothing against moms, but that's what he believed in. He just thought, where the dad is, there's so many positive things helping out. So I want to challenge all the fathers out there to really step up and, play your role in your kids' development because it's truly valuable. And just in general, my last comments, my last thoughts on this is dare to be a late bloomer. Xander, you never know where this could end for you. We all just also need sometimes a little bit of luck. Sometimes we need to create our own luck. In the world of sports,
Exactly.
it's especially high level sports. The margins are so small, and yeah, for all the parents and all the kids, love the process. The process will love you back. That is extremely important to keep in mind, and just don't compare yourself to anyone. Run your own race. Run
Exactly.
your own race.
Yeah, that now that you said it, my psychologist always says, I wonder if the process knows that we are trusting it. So there's a little quote to leave it
Oh
by.
wow, that's
So
amazing. Xander, just maybe before you leave the call, if you can think of someone just off the bat for parenting and a divine design, what the Creator's purposes is for our life, who would you suggest we interview? Who could be a guest of ours? Yeah, that's putting you on the spot. I hope to get someone like an AB de Villiers. You know, his parents online. Um, you,
George Coetzee will be awesome to have.
yep, he's
Great
golfer.
golfer, 5-time European Tour player. And then yeah, sports wise, yeah, AB will be awesome. And I can get you into contact with him if you need. So
You're a connected guy. Well, you're our first. You're our
I am.
first guest. I hope it was an enjoyable experience for you as it was for me. I think we did pretty good. I think the nerves were intact. And Xander, yeah, I just want to wish you all the best, and may all your dreams become a reality, and may you step into what our heavenly Father has planned for you. That divine design. And I know you're going to be a great father and a great husband. And yeah, I just wish you
Thank
all
you.
the best, man. Thanks for your time.
Thank you. Thank you for your time. I appreciate it
Ah,
having me.
thanks, Xander.